Hey everybody, it's Dave Isaacs coming to you from the Guitar Studio on Music Row here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I want to talk to you just a little bit today about my philosophy of teaching and what I believe about learning music and the approach that I take to teaching it. And that is that everybody's capable of learning how to play competently and confidently. That's a phrase you'll hear me use a lot because I think that's the goal. It's not so much about the specific things that you want to learn how to do. Those really depend on what your goals are, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And I think a lot of people kind of get the wrong idea about playing the guitar. People will come in and say, well, I don't need to learn how to be really good. I don't need to learn how to do anything fast or flashy or anything like that. And I think that's based on a misunderstanding that's actually been supported by, for lack of a better way to put it, the guitar instructional industry, that in so many ways is focused on very narrow niche subjects. How to play very specific things. It gets deep into things that are very arcane for someone who really just wants to learn how to play songs. Now there's a lot of great stuff out there for beginners. I'm not saying that there isn't. But I think this idea that people think playing the guitar means that you have to be able to do fast and flashy and complex things, I just think that's a fallacy. I also think that anyone going into lessons, anyone wanting to learn how to play, really needs to go into it with an open mind and understanding that it's going to take some work and that it takes some people a lot more work than it takes others. But if you go into it with the right mindset, then you will allow yourself the time that it takes. If you also go into it with the mindset that you are going to have to practice, you are going to have to apply some discipline, then that's going to help you because it's going to keep you moving through the times when it becomes more difficult, when you feel like you're not making any progress. But most of all, you just have to love music. You have to want to be able to do it, and you have to be motivated by that love. Now, for me, I started playing when I was 14. I do think I had a predisposition for it. By the time I'd been playing for a year, people thought I'd been playing for longer. But I really loved it and I really wanted it, and I think that's the thing that mattered most of all. And the fact is, if you want to learn how to play an instrument, you probably do love music. Whether it's just from listening to it and wanting to be able to participate in that, which is the thing that to me is the most gratifying part of playing music. It's a physical thing, that feeling of making that sound. It's a great thing. It's so motivating when you hit that for the first time. When you really get that feeling of being part of creating it instead of just being a passive observer or a listener. If you want to create your own music, you've already got the motivation, you've already got that desire and that drive and that love. And so you just have to put aside any thoughts you might have about what your own talents or potential or capability happens to be, and just know that your goal really is to learn how to play comfortably in a way that feels good. And so those goals can be pretty modest to start with. The first thing you should be aiming for is just to be able to make a nice sound. Honestly, I love picking up a guitar and just making pretty sounds. That's enjoyable to me. That's very gratifying. Even if I don't have a place to put it, even if there isn't a specific area, a specific song, or a specific project that music is going to, playing music for me is a physical thing and a very enjoyable thing. And that's what you want to aim for yourself. You want to be able to touch that thing that makes playing music so satisfying. And that's being the source of it instead of being just the listener. And so you have to put those ideas about what you're capable of or not capable of out of your mind. And just keep in mind that attaining even a modest goal can give you a lot of satisfaction. And so if you continue to reach for modest goals and build upon those, then that will feed your motivation. It will let you touch that thing that's so satisfying, of being, without getting too cosmic about it, of being a conduit for it. Because almost everybody that plays music well will tell you that they've had experiences of playing in a way where they feel like the effort just goes away and it's just happening. It's like you become a conduit for something that's coming from somewhere else. It's something that everybody can get to if you recognize that that state of flow, that effortless thing, is something that can apply to the simplest thing and be just as much fun and feel just as good as doing something fancy and complicated. You're not doing it to impress anybody else. You're doing it to gratify your own desire to make music, out of your own love for music and your own desire to be in it instead of being outside of it. And so my goal as a teacher is to help you get there, is to help you set attainable goals, and we evaluate that in the course of your lessons, determine what those are going to be, and it's based on a combination of the fundamentals that I really think everybody ought to know to be able to play comfortably. Some of that has to do with just the physical approach of how you hold it and how you touch it, and how you approach what you're doing with your hands, how it should feel in your body when you play. What's the difference between unfamiliar and awkward? That's important. And then a fundamental vocabulary that's going to serve you no matter what kind of music you want to play. And enough of an understanding of music that you can begin to identify the things that you need to focus on without necessarily needing a teacher's guidance. And the ability to learn, the ability to identify something, understand how to practice it, how to absorb it, what it's going to take for you to be able to get to a point of comfort with it. I'm not even going to use the term master, because that does come over time, but aiming for comfort and competence is really the main thing. And so that's the goal, and that doesn't mean that you're limited in any way in terms of how far you can go. It just means that the vast majority of people aren't really aiming that high to start with, but once they touch it, once they get to the point where they feel comfortable with a handful of things and they start to see what they're capable of, then all these other things begin to open up. That's my philosophy. That's my motivation, is to help people be musical, even if they don't think they're musical. And one of the things that's been most exciting to me, living in Nashville and working with songwriters, is having a whole population of people that often don't really think they have much musical ability. What they're interested in is telling the story and just finding a good melody and a simple way to put it across. And they will often look to more skilled musicians to really realize it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's taught me, from working with people like that almost everybody with an interest in music has more innate musical sense than they realize, but they might lack the skills to translate what they hear in their heads into something concrete that you can communicate to somebody else. So in lessons, we're doing that through the guitar, sometimes through the piano. I do teach both of those instruments. And, recognizing that you learn how to put your fingers in certain places and make certain moves to create the sounds, but that most of all, what you're learning how to do is to make a connection between the things you hear in your head, the things that you hear other people doing, and the means to get those sounds out into the world. And so you start with those simple things, and once you've been able to do that with something simple, you do begin to touch it. You begin to realize how much more you're capable of. That's exciting to me. That's motivating to me. It's what has made teaching into my calling and my vocation, not just playing the guitar, but sharing my love of it and my perspective on how you play with people that want to be able to do it better. So if this sounds good to you, then we might be a good fit. So there's lots of information on my website too, daveisaacs.com, that will tell you more about how I teach, and you can also watch other videos on my YouTube channel. But I'd love for you to get in touch with me. I am still accepting private students, and I'm also ramping up my group classes. I'm going to be offering a lot more group things going forward. It's now August the 14th of 2017, so going into the fall of 2017, and I have big plans for 2018. So check out the website, subscribe to my blog, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow up with what I'm doing, and when you're ready to come in and get started, you can reach me at dave@daveisaacs.com. You can find me on Facebook, all the major social media sites. I'd love to hear from you. I hope this has been a little inspiring and enlightening for you, and I hope to work with you in the future. So thanks for watching.